Wouldn't it be sort of great if the sound of silence were in our hymnal? But that would really make us the 1960s hippie church. A week and a half ago, I attended the documentary premiere Face of Hate at the historic Howell Theater. The subject is Jason Barker from Livingston County. He's a former Grand Wizard of the Michigan KKK. He used to consider himself a white supremacist. His property was decorated with Trump and MAGA signs. The film documents this American extremist journey from hatred to redemption over a 10-year period. In the movie, Jason explains the KKK white supremacist MAGA ideology. In their worldview, the United States is supposed to be a white man's only country. He emphasized man. All other races need to leave or be removed by force if necessary. He specifically mentions blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, who of course are the first peoples of this continent. I was totally shocked in hearing this hate-filled ideology and all the other aspects of their extremist beliefs. Now, Jason eventually has a change of heart during his second federal felony imprisonment on terrorism charges. The film's Danish director, Stefan Howe, develops a relationship with Jason that lasts a good decade. Stefan, at one point in the movie, shares with Jason about his grandparents' life under Nazi German occupation. One of his grandfathers is arrested for working with the resistance. Some of his comrades are executed. He manages to escape and go into hiding. But his family doesn't know what happened to him or hear from him until after the war. They thought that he had been done in by the Nazis. Is this story, is this relationship that Stefan shared with Jason, the inspiration, the heart moment, the soul moment that eventually leads Jason to a change of heart? They have a personal relationship. It lasts a decade. It's a professional relationship. The one is making a documentary movie about the other, but they still get to know each other. And they tell each other their stories. Can love really overcome hate? After the movie, protesters with swastikas are outside the theater. They're repeating the white supremacist ideology that Jason described in the movie, adding homophobia and transphobia to it. The media identifies the protesters as a White Lives Matter cell, someplace here in the area. And you can see my hypersonic red Toyota BZ4X electric vehicle right in front of the protesters in some of the media photos in the Livingston Post and in the Livingston Daily. So now you know what my car looks like. During the question and answer session, Jason gives advice on dealing with the protesters. Don't confront them. They're looking for an argument. They're ready to argue to the teeth. They're going to try to start a fight with you so that they could sue you for assault. Facts don't matter to their ideology. They're going to twist your words and use anything you say against you and to manipulate you. That's the advice from Jason. Jason's advice is nothing new. Progressive churches for years have been warned about such tactics when protesters show up at our churches. They're using the same script. They're using the same playbook that Jason was describing. Instead of confrontation, Jason says, disarm them with kindness. Take an interest in them. Let them speak, let them vet, let them spout whatever they have to spout, and don't disagree. They're not expecting this. Instead of arguing, try to have a conversation with them. And he gives 3 principles for engaging people in extremist groups. Number 1, compassionate conversation. Number 2, connect with the human element in the other person that you're talking to. And number 3, be in community or try to be in community with that person. Those are tall challenges to talk to a person carrying a swastika, shouting and swearing all these horrible things. But it comes down to the value of love and being able to see love in other human beings. That spark of love is always there. Over the past week or 2, actually maybe more like a month already, I have heard from more than a handful of congregants about how worried and afraid you are because of our national political climate. I don't think that any of us envisioned the beloved community to look like current events in the United States. It's a nightmare. We live in scary and dangerous times with people under attack daily. Our government is unleashing hatred. Our administration is inflicting misery on millions at home and around the globe. And their religious leaders are claiming that to be compassionate is a sin. For me, my heart cries out in anguish. How do you deal with all of this negativity, all of this hatred, all of this bad news, all of these attacks on people with all the lies being spread? How can we cope? How can we respond? So I'm going to give you 3 words of advice. Some of them might be the same as Jason, some of them not exactly. First and foremost, turn to your own spiritual practices. Whatever those spiritual practices are, meditation, mindfulness, affirmations, movement like Tai Chi or yoga, or jogging, running, weightlifting, spiritual reading, gardening. Okay, indoor gardens, it's wintertime. Chanting, singing. This was unplanned. I use the sound of silence as a chant sometimes for my meditative practice. Make these spiritual practices a daily priority in these times. Find those 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 15 minutes to sit down on your cushions or on your chairs or on your sofas and spend that intentional time in spiritual practice. Use that time to connect to your profound self. Find your grounding. Find your roots, as in the Spirit of Life, roots hold me close, our opening hymn. Be. Use that time to simply be and not do. Second, turn off the 7 by 24 by 365 news feed. It comes via news outlets, social media, text messages, emails. Limit yourself. Figure out a time. Watch the news once a day. I'm going to listen to NPR. Say to yourself, I'm going to listen to NPR for the morning news, morning edition, or the evening news, whatever, and then turn it off. And also take a weekly Sabbath day from the media. We don't have to listen to all the news every single day, because think about it. We're not going to be able to do anything about it every single day, right? We're just going to drain ourselves of energy. So take a break from it. Third thing, remain in community. You are not alone. All of you guys out there are not alone. We are in this together. And we're here together for each other. And our congregation, our little group of people here, our group of some 80 people, we're not alone. We are part of a national association of congregations, the Unitarian Universalist Association. There's also other congregations, like-minded congregations that are seeking love and justice and equity along with us here in Livingston County, and we have working relations with some of those congregations. We're also part of other larger groups that share our values, like the Unitarian Universalists for Social Justice, a nationwide network of people, or the Michigan Unitarian Universalists for Social Justice Network, the Green Sanctuary Movement, of which we're a part of, the Welcoming Congregation Movement, which we're also a part of, and we're members of the Livingston Diversity Council. Together, all these scattered groups, all these different groups, and those aren't the only groups who are concerned about love and justice and equity in our nation. There's many others. All of these groups together, we are seeking a better world, not just for some, but for all, for every last human being in our country and in our world. And at the same time, as we seek to be in community with each other and in community with other groups with similar goals, we also seek to be a safe haven. Here at CUUB, we Cubbies, a safe haven for all people, grounded in love. Together with many others across this great nation, we are in solidarity with the marginalized and especially those who are currently under attack. Immigrants, asylum seekers, refugees, trans and intersex youth and adults, women, Hispanics, Native Americans, Asians, Black lives, and as of this past week, Palestinians and Ukrainians. Our shared Unitarian Universalist vision of beloved community could not be more radically different from what we are facing in our country today. We, as people of faith, seek to create a beloved community where all races, all ethnicities, all languages, all sexes, all gender identities, all sexual orientations, and all religions, including no religion, where all of these different types of people are finding ways of living in harmony, in community, in relationship, in covenant with each other, in creating our society together. And all of these groups, all of these peoples, we seek to share the resources of our planet Earth equitably with all of her inhabitants. Now, that vision of beloved community that I just described, it's our faith-filled vision. But wouldn't that vision make America truly great? The United States is a world experiment in creating a multiracial, multi-ethnic, multi-religious, inclusive democracy. We're the first country that has tried to do this for some 250-something years. Wouldn't that be the next step in evolving our larger society for the common good of all people? So this past Wednesday was Darwin Day, which happens to be a Unitarian Universalist holiday. Darwin became a Unitarian as an adult, by the way. You probably didn't learn that from your history classes. I'm sorry, from your science classes. So we're one human species. All of us, every single one of us, we're all descended through evolution from a common great ape ancestor. And we've named that ancestor Lucy. She's named after the Beatles song Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, because they were playing that song when they uncovered her bones. All human beings, every single person on this planet, living or dead, they are our evolutionary siblings. We are related to every other person on this planet through our genes, through our DNA. We really do form one great human family. Bigotry is not innate. Racism, misogyny, homophobia, transphobia are learned behaviors that deny the reality of our human unity, of our human commonness on this planet. And if those behaviors can be learned, they can also be unlearned. They are scripts that society teaches and enforces. And we as people of faith are out to rewrite those societal scripts. Our faith is grounded in love. Love is the power that holds us together and brings us closer, and it's at the center of our shared values. And we're accountable to one another for living through the spiritual discipline of love. Love is a spiritual discipline. Love is a spiritual practice. When we catch ourselves thinking bad thoughts or having hate in our hearts or something, that's the moment for us to say, oh, I'm using mindfulness techniques now. Oh, where is this emotion coming from? Is this the emotion that I want to center my life on? Love. As Unitarian Universalists, we are also committed to justice. We work to be diverse, multicultural, beloved communities where all people thrive, where all people's basic human needs are met, where people can live to their fullest potential and seek their dreams and visions, and not just struggle to eat and sleep and go to work. Justice, multiculturalism. So our government has banned 11 multicultural holidays. We should celebrate women and ethnic, sexual, and gender minorities and people with disabilities. And we must commemorate victims of the Holocaust and other genocides. And specifically to the question on genocide, I cannot fathom at all in my mind why our government would ban the commemoration of genocide. That makes absolutely no sense to me. It's horribly unsettling. And it leads to the following nefarious question in my mind: what are they really up to? And I'm not a conspiracy theorist, I'm not going to speculate on what they're up to. As Unitarian Universalists, we are also committed to equity. Every person has the right to flourish with inherent dignity and worthiness. Those are our innate rights, our innate characteristics. Striving for justice and equity is spiritual work. It's a spiritual practice. We are called to be allies for justice and equity, together with the historically marginalized groups in our great country. Spiritual work challenges us to that radical reorientation of our consciousness. What's going on in our minds, and do we like the direction that our minds are taking, and is that the direction that we want to go? That's spiritual work, questioning ourselves, examining ourselves, figuring out what we'd like to do. In such spiritual practices, we connect to our own true humanity, our own truest selves, our truest, deepest nature. And from that place of internal sensitiveness, we seek those deep human connections with other beings, with other people. Just like Stefan, the movie director, did with Jason, the subject of his movie. Stefan was up to some soul searching, some soul work with Jason. We're invited to do similar soul work with ourselves and our neighbors in our society today. As Unitarian Universalists, we seek a world where all people are seen, where all people are loved, and where all people are able to live abundantly. And I just don't mean financial abundance, abundance in the broadest possible sense of the word, with joy, with happiness. But this work challenges us to dismantle the systems that dehumanize some people and criminalize others in the sea of injustice and discrimination that is washing over this country, our country now. As we face the world today, we remain rooted in love. We remain committed to truth-telling. And we remain covenanted in community together with each other.